Hey there friends, welcome back to the channel. I'm Dominique, and if you're new here, I would love for you to drop a comment down below, simply saying hello or I'm new. I would love to welcome you to this community and just have a little chat with you in the comments. But today's video is just gonna be me sharing a little bit of, I guess, my thoughts and insights. I've been on this roll the past few weeks of just really taking a step back and reflecting on my own journey. I have my course, Anxious to Zen, launching very soon, and this is just really bringing up a lot of reflection for me. And so in today's video, I just wanted to share a little bit with you regarding one of the biggest mistakes I made when I first started working towards healing my anxiety. And I say mistake, but I'm not one that believes mistakes are bad. We need to make mistakes to learn. And so I see this as just one of the greatest learning opportunities that's come my way throughout my healing journey. And because if you've been following me for a little while, you may already know a little bit about my healing journey and anxiety. So I will leave that linked in the cards for you to check out if you're interested in hearing a little bit more. But the big thing that really just was a stopping point in my journey with anxiety was the way I was looking at it. And I approached the healing as you would kind of like healing of anything. You want to get rid of it, right? If you have a cut or a wound, it's healing to the point where it's gone and you a lot of the times don't even notice that anything was there. So we kind of get in this mentality when it comes to healing that we need to get rid of something. And I'm not gonna say I quickly came to the realization, but I eventually came to the realization that is not how the world works. And it's certainly not how a healing journey works. So when I was approaching my healing with anxiety, as I said, I was looking at it as something that I needed to get rid of. And kind of reflecting back on past videos that I've done, I know that I've mentioned before the true cause of anxiety and my own experience with it. And I know there are gonna always be other thoughts, ideas out in the world. People are gonna have their own way of doing things, and I love that. And I think that you pretty much need to just pick and choose and test and find out what is going to be best for you. You are not going to fit in a box with everyone else. And that's how I approached my healing as well. I was hungry to learn as much as I could, and I learned all different methods and beliefs. And then I found what worked for me, and I tweaked it here and there. I've done so much trial and error with healing, with nervous system regulation, with anxiety management. I feel like I've pretty much tried everything out there. And when I came to the realization that for me, getting rid of anxiety meant that I was trying to get rid of my wounded parts. So if you're watching this video, you've probably heard talk about inner child work, and it's something that I do regularly every single day and has had a massive impact on my healing. And so what I like to acknowledge and believe in my own journey is that my past experiences caused fractures within my inner child. If you want to think of it as your authentic self, who you were born to be before the world told you who you needed to be. And with our experiences, the ones that are so overwhelming that we just aren't able to process and metabolize them, they start to create beliefs and stories about ourselves, ones that aren't necessarily our truth. And so we become fractured from who we truly are. And with these fractures, then comes dysregulation in the nervous system. So when I think of the healing journey for my anxiety and the way I was approaching it to getting rid of something bad within me, that was me ultimately continuing to deny the needs of these wounded, fractured parts of myself. And because the body stores emotions and memories, each time we have a traumatic event that creates some fracture, this is us being frozen in time at that age. So when you hear people say, gosh, I can't believe I'm acting like such a baby, this is so unlike me, or you kind of notice someone starts acting childish, that's because of a trigger they're experiencing that is reminding them of a past experience, and their body holding on to this memory brings them back to that age. And so we have these parts of us, our inner child, that become frozen in time. And there's a few ages that I've picked up on that I carry within myself. These are my wounded parts, and every one of us has this. And for me, they're very strong. And anxiety is one of those ways that our inner child is trying to speak to us, is trying to call out for help. And when it comes to human needs, we are all in need of being seen, heard, and loved. When we become fractured as a child from our authentic self, it's because one or more of these needs was denied. And so when we have these anxiety and panic attacks, or what I like to refer to it as alarm within the body, it's these memories that are being triggered. Something in your environment reminds your body, where these emotions and memories are stored, of a past time. It may not be the exact same situation. It may be nothing similar to it. However, your body is simply working to always keep you safe and to detect potential threat and danger. And so what I started to do in my journey then was I did the complete opposite of what was natural for me to want to do, which was to rid, to push away, because that was not getting me anywhere. I was still struggling, and I started to really beat myself up because I was like, what's happening? Like, I'm doing all of this journaling and meditating and even like the nervous system regulation. I'm doing all of this and I'm not getting any better. What is going on? This does not work, obviously. But I soon came to realize it's because I was missing a crucial part to the healing, which was working with my inner child and allowing the child to be seen, to be heard, to be loved. And so when I approach healing and anxiety and any type of trigger response with my clients, I incorporate the whole person. And that's what I love so much about trauma-informed life coaching, is when it's done right, you're not focusing on just the mind or the body or your spiritual practices and beliefs. You are incorporating the whole person. We are not just one or the other. And especially when it comes to body work and nervous system regulation, the body has to be top priority. And that's exactly what I love to bring to my coaching and what I practice with myself on a regular basis. And the inner child is kind of, I guess you could say, it's that woo-woo side of healing that kind of turns people off. And I will admit, I was one of those people in the very beginning where I was like, don't give me any of this woo-woo crap. Like, no, thank you. I'm a science person. And being a physical therapist assistant, yes, I am a science person and I love science. And at the same time, I was like, okay, well, there is science in the woo-woo crap that I would call it. It's just a different way of speaking about the terminology. I view it as a more compassionate way of speaking about how our body carries unresolved emotions, how our body has memory and does speak to us. That's why you'll hear like, oh, I have butterflies in my stomach, or, just some of that terminology, the hunger pains, the growling that you hear. Our body speaks to us. And when it comes to the healing of past trauma, and even, when it comes to procrastination, perfectionism, the self-worth, all of these areas are trauma responses and are linked to anxiety as well. Like, anxiety isn't just a thinking issue. It's not a thinking issue per se, because it starts within our body as alarm, this inner child trying to get our attention. When we can't make sense of it, when we fail to tap into what our body is trying to communicate, this is when we move up into our brain, into our mind, and we get into that worry cycle where we're thinking about all of the what ifs and what could happen, what should happen. Our brains are a meaning-making machine, and they're beautiful, but they can also be so detrimental to us. So as I was reflecting, it really just stood out to me that with my journey, I had to shift that perspective of getting rid of something, fixing myself, when in reality, I wasn't broken. You're not broken. It's communication through our body that we're failing to listen to. And when we do open our ears and our mind to accepting that, hey, you cannot fight biology. You cannot turn away from what your body is trying to do and get away with it. You will at some point experience backfire, which is why I started to experience true anxiety symptoms at such a late age, because I was so disconnected from my body. And it eventually came full-fledged, and yeah, it was bad. So I really just encourage, if you are starting your healing journey or you've been on it for a little while, to view yourself as you would view someone that you loved or a child going through similar challenges. How would you speak to them? How would you treat them? How would you be there for them? It's so easy for us to be compassionate towards others. And when it comes to ourselves, treat ourselves like total crap. And why? Why do we need to do that? Why do we do that? And it really comes down to this inner child inside of us being forced to have certain beliefs that were not theirs, that created stories that are not true because you were just trying to do the best you could at that moment. And your body is constantly working to protect you. So taking a step back and asking yourself, how do you want to treat yourself? How do you want to love yourself? How would you want someone else to treat you and love you? And to start looking at it as not something that you're fighting along this whole journey of healing, but something that you're just getting to understand and to know better. A healing journey is simply, and it's not simply, but a healing journey in my mind is a journey back to your true self. Again, I'm going to say it. It's a journey back to who you were born to be before the world told you who you needed to be. And this is a journey that can span a lifetime and only gets better in time. So I hope that some of this reflection that I shared with you and insight was helpful. And again, I always love to hear from you guys in the comments. So if you want to share anything with me about your own experience with anxiety, and maybe you've gone through the same battle that I once did, where I was trying to get rid instead of accept and listen and understand, I would love to have a chat with you about it in the comments. And if you haven't already subscribed, go ahead and do so and hit that notification bell while you're down there so you don't miss out on any of my new content. And until next time, sending you so much healing love.